Yeah, hi folks. Welcome to the space. We're super happy to have you this evening at our webinar. As we're going along, feel free to say hi in the chat. Maybe let us know where you're zooming in from. And throughout the presentation and the panel, feel free to drop any questions in the chat as well. Another housekeeping item, we will be recording and we'll send that out to folks after the fact. So in case you missed something or maybe you join in late or have to leave early, that will be there for you as well. But again, a big welcome to Empowering Educators through Mentorship. So tonight will be, it's really focused on aspiring and current educators today. So, we'll be discovering strategies for effective teaching, credentialing, career management, and it'll be really interactive, like I said. So please do contribute to the conversation, however feels most comfortable. And it'll be a nice space for us to connect, collaborate, and explore mentorship opportunities in your specific field. This is our second webinar of our Mentoring Month series. So we're super excited to have you. And I think we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so just going over the agenda for a little bit today. So we'll do some quick introductions. I'll give you a quick NU Mentoring Network overview to help us ground in the space and help you learn about a resource specific to NU that when it comes to mentoring. We'll be doing our panel discussion and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. And so you won't just be hearing from me the whole time. Lucky you. So I do want to pass it over to some of my lovely colleagues to introduce themselves, and we can start with Heather.
Thanks, Jasmine. My name is Heather Piedrahita. I am the Associate Director of Alumni and Community Relations. I have been at National for a number of years, but I've been working in alumni relations for almost 3 years now. And I'm an alum myself. I got my master's from National University in 2011. I will popcorn it over to Lindsay if you're there, if you're available to come off mute and introduce yourself. I know she was having some construction in her house, so let's see.
And a saxophone concert.
Oh.
Hi. You won't be hearing from me much today, but I will be available for technical support if anyone needs anything. Yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you.
And yeah, jumping into me again. So for folks that don't know, I'm the student engagement coordinator here at NU. So I work really closely with Heather and Lindsay to help oversee the mentoring network and also support all of our student orgs and just help our students find community. So we're really happy to have you here. And so, like I mentioned at the beginning, I did want to do a brief overview of our NU mentoring network just to help ground us in the space and give you some tools right off the bat to really dive into mentoring within the NU community. And so the NU mentoring network, for those that aren't familiar, and yes, we do have a mentoring network. I know, depending on even if you're an alumni, sometimes folks are like, wait, I didn't know we had that. And thankfully, you can be an alumni, a student, community member. Everyone's welcome to make an account on the mentoring network. So that's always available to you. And so, yeah, it's really our platform for career advancement and a review of resources. And it's free to make an account, open to everyone. And the great thing about the platform is that you can sign up to be a mentor or a mentee. So you can get advice or give advice, or you could sign up to do both, depending on your capacity and what you're looking for. And so that's the URL right there. And I can put that in the chat for folks too. But we advise you to not go on there and make an account just yet. But after the fact, please do. But while we're talking. And so, yeah, so going into a little bit about the Mentoring Network's resources in specific. And if we go to the next slide, I think we have some of those listed here. Yeah, so not only is the mentoring network a mentoring space, and it's a really great one-stop shop for mentoring, especially within the NU community. When you do make an account, if you haven't already, when you sign up, it'll match you with different mentors or mentees, depending on your career goals, your experience, what you're looking for. And then on the platform itself, you can actually message people directly on there. You can schedule consultations, see when people are available. So you can really do all of that right on our platform. And it feels a little less scary than, let's say, reaching out to someone on LinkedIn because you know that everyone on the mentoring network is affiliated with NU. So you already sort of have that door opening and connecting you to those people. But while you're on there and getting your mentoring needs met, we also have a whole host of other resources on there that can really help you, throughout your career, wherever you're at in your timeline. And so I wanted to highlight a couple of these resources. So one of them is the Vault, which is a really comprehensive and really diverse collection of different guides depending on what you're looking for. And so there'll be guides on different careers, like what are the best companies to work for, what are good internships to get, what are some interviewing skills, things like that. And they do the platform that we partner with Volt, they do all of that research independently. And so they have really robust resources in terms of finding out what will work best for your career goals. And then we also have community spaces. And so similar to how tonight is focused on educators, you can join groups based on what fields you're in, or maybe even different affinity groups and things like that. And so those are also more intimate spaces where you can, connect with people who are really aligned with what you're trying to do. We also have a link to our jobs portal, which we use Handshake for that. So if folks are familiar, another great resource is Handshake, and you can go to Handshake right from our platform as well. In addition, we do have a video library, and these are similar to LinkedIn Learning type things if folks are familiar. So you can do some free, upskilling for different things, especially with education and technology. They're always adding new things. And so you can keep up to date with those things through the library of videos and trainings. And yeah, and again, there's just more to explore. So it's a really comprehensive resource, and we're here to help you every step of the way. So again, if you ever have questions about the mentoring network, we're here to help. But yeah, so that's a little bit about what we have going on at National in terms of mentoring. But getting into the meat of potatoes for tonight, we will be getting into our panel. And our panelists may also mention the mentoring network a little bit too, to give you some of that real experience. But yeah, so we'll have our panelists introduce themselves tonight and just share a little bit about their experience with you all. So let's start with Kabiri.
Hi, good evening. It's so wonderful to see all of you. I'm a retired veteran special ed teacher, and I have been mentoring when I was a site support provider for at Pacific Autism Center for Education, and when Dr. Kutaka Kennedy was the university supervisor, used to come and observe my mentees. And so it was wonderful. We had a long, relationship working to help the mentees grow. And after retiring after working for 17 years after retiring, I've still continued mentoring. I have mentored. I was a BITSA coach for Moreland School District and mentored 2 teachers. I was also a consultant at PACE, mentoring some teachers there, and have continued with that. And then now currently I am a self-published author. I've been writing books, and the first book that I wrote was for teachers, to help them. It was a practical roadmap to organizing and managing the special ed classroom, because that's what you always need. What am I going to do? So whatever I had learned, it was put in the book. And then I wrote another book, which was a children's illustrated book called The Friendly Learning Academy. The FLAW, it was just like what I did in my classroom, teaching the kids, and it was about animals and jungle animals, how naughty they are, and they learn to behave coming into the classroom. And now I'm getting ready to publish my sequel to this children's book. So, so I'm enjoying writing books now, and mentoring wherever possible, championing the cause for the special ed adult students who do not get any more services, helping them get connected, and volunteering and gardening and traveling and spending quality time with family and friends. So this is what I am doing now.
That's so lovely to hear. We have such great knowledge and wisdom in the room with us tonight. And another person on our panel that will also be giving some wonderful wisdom is Jennifer. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Lewis. I currently serve as a middle school STEM teacher, teaching engineering design within the Clark County School District in Las Vegas, Nevada. My teaching career has spanned 15 years. I started as a teacher's assistant working with juvenile youth, incarcerated youth, and youth on probation. Made it all the way up to high school principal, and then decided I still had some more teaching in me, and I'm back at the middle school level now, and also pursuing my master's in school counseling. And I look forward to answering all of your questions tonight. Lots of experience. Feel free to ask me anything and everything.
Thanks, Jennifer. And last but not least, we have Dr. Kristen.
Hi, everybody. So excellent to be with all of you. Definitely privileged to be with these other amazing panelists. Again, my name is Dr. Kristen Anderson Mers. I am a North Central University alumni. I got my doctorate in 2018. I currently work in the space industry as a senior educational technologist and also teach at a small niche art college in general education. And so I've been in education for over 20 years. I've got a healthy balance of science, art, and music in my background. I'm really looking forward to your questions and connecting with all of you.
Yay, and if people want to give their virtual hands a little clap for our panelists, and I'll pass it on to my colleague Heather to get our panel started.
Thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate that. And thank you to each of you for introducing yourselves and just for being present with us here today and giving of your time. We really appreciate that. I wanted to kick us off and first just ask our panelists, if you don't mind, share with us a little bit about what you recommend in terms of mentoring and in terms of teachers or educators looking to find a mentor. Perhaps they're looking for what kind of mentor they're looking for, or maybe they have someone selected, and how would you recommend they approach someone about entering a mentoring relationship? And as we're talking, I do want to let all our attendees know if you have any questions you'd like to ask of our panelists, please go ahead and put them in the chat. We will get to those later in the presentation. So Jennifer, I'm going to throw it to you first. Where do you recommend people start to get started in finding a mentor?
So if you're already a teacher working in a school district, many times you'll be offered an assigned mentor, and a lot of times that won't be a good fit. It's just the person who's been voluntold, right? That's the phrase in education. They said, hey, we have a new teacher, go mentor them. So that usually is not a match because you haven't had a previous conversation. It has to be organic a lot of times. It can even be you're in a staff meeting and you realize that someone you're sitting next to, they have so much to learn from. And if you're not already in a school district and you are enrolled in classes, you're always able to reach out to your professors. You're also retired educators are a great resource as well. A lot of times it's organic. Knowing what you need from a mentor is going to be your first step. So, you don't want to just ambush someone. You're a veteran, teach me everything you know. No, think about what you want to focus on. And what I always recommend as a new teacher, early career educator, classroom management. Find that teacher on campus that is an expert at running their class. The kids love them, but they're strict and fair. Find that person and see if you can observe them or learn from them in any capacity.
That's a great idea. And Cabari, I saw you nodding your head, and I know you've done quite a bit of mentoring in your career, and classroom management is one of your favorite things. So share with us a little bit about when you've mentored someone, how have they approached you to set up that relationship when it's gone well?
I have taught at an NPS. So the quality of the students are very different from what you have in regular schools and even in the special day classes in regular school thing. So here are the students who are with their behaviors and they are non-verbal. So the way you deal with them is very different from what you would do in the regular school setting. So these are very, very classes where you have lots of, aides who have to be working for management of the behavior and all that. So in that kind of thing, when a new teacher comes in, with and is thrown with maybe 8 IEPs, and you have to do the classroom management, you have to do, they are freaking out. They are freaking out. So what I say at them, let's sit down together. Okay, let me help you to help you. How are you going to organize the classroom? Where are you going to do your bulletin board? Where are you going to do the placement of the students? How are you going to have the students sitting, and which are the students? Let's find out from the cume folder what kind of students do you got. And then, go with that. And then I have also helped them with, okay, if you have an IEP, what are you going to be testing on? Because, a lot of these, when we got our credential, I think there was one class which somewhat dealt with the IEP preparation. You are not prepared. When you go and start and you have to do that, an assessment, how do you assess? You don't know anything. So it's like hand holding the a new teacher and helping them feel comfortable and that you will do it. And I used to also share all my lesson plans with them. So I said, make it your own. When you start, here is a thematic lesson. These kids learn this way. Have it that you don't have to create anything from scratch. Here it is, make it your own. So any way that you can do to help, and especially when you have a classroom where there are, 8 students and 6 aides because of the classroom. How do you manage those aides? And if those aides have been there for a long time, they don't want to listen to this newbie teacher. They want to boss over the teacher. And then how do you handle that? So then you make them feel how you make them as a team. They're
Mm-hmm.
all part of a team. Let them teach a class with you. Let them, make them feel that you're not the superior person, that you've got your credential and that they have to listen by. So it's a team together. It's a collaboration together. And so, and get them to feel comfortable. That's the most important thing for mentorship, that the mentor makes the mentee feel comfortable and that you are available to the mentee anytime. So they have called me late in the night, if there was an IEP the next day, okay, if they had any freaking out, what can I do? So be available for the mentee at all times and help them feel them that they can be successful, and that you are here because you're a very special person, that you're teaching, you're changing lives. That's what is the most important thing. And I have loved teaching. I love, and I loved mentoring, and that is why I asked in my chat thing, that now that I'm retired, can I mentor? I have all these ideas that I can share with people who would love, but I'm not teaching anymore. So if there are some new things that have come, I will not be aware of it, but I can definitely share my ideas with them. And especially, things that I have written in my book. The first book that I had written, it was like a handbook that I've handed it to my mentees, and they found really useful. So things like that,
Yeah.
strategize and help them with that. That's what I think. And always have their back, that they
Mm.
they don't feel that, they're alone in the
Yeah.
school system.
No, I love that. And I like what you had to say about sort of leading them through, almost helping them think ahead. Hey, here's the things you're going to need to think about. How will you manage multiple aides, or how will you set up your classroom, or how will you, teach to this certain need for this student. So I like that idea. In thinking, you said, also backing them up and, being there for them and providing that support. Um, I want to ask the question then, sort of, what role do you think mentorship can play in helping teachers not only adapt to a new career, but um, fostering their professional growth and then preventing burnout? I think burnout is very real across a lot of industries, but we're seeing it pretty heavily in the education and teaching fields. So, how do you think mentorship can help that? I'm going to put it to Kristen first.
Yeah, actually, I was just mentoring this morning and I was telling my mentee about making her life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And she is saddled with teaching a 6-hour class on a Sunday. Um, while it's a very exciting and enjoyable opportunity, it creates a challenge with students being attentive, being exhausted, and then kind of taking on the burden. And so we were talking about being the authoritarian or placing more of the responsibility on the student. And so we're coming up with activities that are more placed on the student instead of her standing there and lecturing for 6 hours. And it's really important to give your students that responsibility. Have them do activities within the class. Have them come to the board. Have them do pair work. Make them interested in putting together presentations with each other, getting used to speaking in front of the class, on the fly, coming up with lesson plans. And so there's numerous things that you can do to ease that burnout, by giving your students more of that responsibility instead of yourself.
I think that's great. And that gives a nice bit of permission to a new teacher to know that that is something they can do and should do. Jennifer, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I think to also piggyback off what Kristen said, we need to move away from you're the focal point of the classroom. That's not, it was before when we weren't using internet as readily. Artificial intelligence wasn't around. You were the expert in the room. I tell my students every single year, I'm here to teach you, but you're also going to teach me as much, if not more. Once your students are able to relate to you on a human level, they will sweep the floor, they will put the posters up, they want to do. And every age group is different. I've taught high school and middle school and now doing my elementary level internship for counseling. And there's a niche, right? Everyone has their fit. And it takes you time to figure that out, what it is. But across all the levels, kids can do. If you set the expectations, they will meet them. If you lower the expectations, they will go even lower. So it is all about setting up the mindset that you are a community, your classroom is the community. You set the tone from the moment the kids walk in to the moment the kids walk out. And I taught English for many years, and I always tried to find a way to go a little outside the box. You know what? We're going to talk about affirmations today. So before you leave class, we're all going to sing along and dance and just leave in a happy manner. So that next class teacher that has them, they're excited, they're ready to learn, they're feeling good about themselves. Did I try to teach them syntax and grammar? Yeah. Did it go through as I had planned? Absolutely not. But they left with a smile on their face and a positive attitude and energy, and that will carry them through the school day.
That's great. Thank you. Thinking you mentioned a little bit about, technology and changes and all that is coming and how much we're not only teaching, but also learning from everyone around us. I'm going to go through each of you on this one, but what are some of the trends you're seeing shaping education today? Could be related to technology or just sort of rapid changes in our world, but what sort of trends are you seeing that shape education, and how can a mentor help guide an educator to stay ahead, or feel comfortable with those changes? And Cabari, I'll toss it to you first.
So, I have taught the kids who had, their, they had challenges with their intellect challenges. They were technology for them, they had, because they were nonverbal kids, they had the AAC device to communicate with. So I have used a lot of PowerPoint presentations and interactive, games with them, that so that they could understand that. And we would do a lot of standing up, and if the song is playing, so you're doing the movements right there so that they understood if it is high and low, because they didn't have any concept of what is high, low, and all those things. So anything that, and then I would take them on a walk and teach them about the colors of the trees are changing colors. I have taught them thematic lessons on, Martin Luther King Day. Why do we celebrate that? But then we made a friendship smoothie where they all learned about different colors mixed together and make a beautiful thing. And that was what was the Dr. King's message, that all of us coming together. So I have done, I used to take them on lots of, field trips that connected with what I taught. So I think for these kids, I'm coming from the background of the special ed. I know you guys, Jennifer, you and Kristen are talking about very higher functioning kids. These kids don't know anything, not even their alphabets, anything they do not know their names. So, for them to understand the name, to find out the name on the locker or the thing. So these are the types of students that I have taught, and they have done brilliantly, and taught them vocational things so that they could be, gainfully employed in adult day programs. It could be their transition to those. So those are the kinds of things. So technology for them was something that they could, use on the computer, trying to find how to go from point A to point B. And I have got one of my students, I'm so proud now. He is now is doing Python programming and has learned to make his website. I am so proud of him. He graduated from my class and he's in a program and doing this. So this is how, it has been for me. I've used technology, multimedia. They couldn't use
Right.
it, but I have used it to teach them. So that's what for me. And always being very passionate about it. As you can see, I'm always using my hands and singing and dancing and all that, So that's what it is. So always being positive, have a
Thank
positive
you.
attitude that you can learn.
That's
Nothing is
great.
beyond you.
That's great. Yeah, that's a trend that is not, has been around and is not going away by any means. The passion and the energy you bring makes a huge difference. Kristen, what would you add to that in terms of current trends, maybe shifts in technology or ways and things we're teaching?
Yeah, so I'm in the online world and teaching remotely. So of course, like LMS systems, plugins that go with those LMS systems, Chat GPT, oh my gosh, it has revolutionized even in the short period it's been around. Use your tools too as an instructor for like plagiarism, things that can help you, like Grammarly, all types of different kind of tech tools that will enhance your experience, but also giving you insight into what the students have access to. And once you're knowledgeable about what they have access to, you can work through the challenges that may propose or harness the positives that can come out of those technological innovations.
That's great. That's a good tip. Jennifer, what would you add? What trends are you seeing or shifts in technology and new rapid changes?
So I teach engineering design. So when you talk about rapid changes, it's constant. I feel like weekly. One week it's code.org is the place to code. No, now Microsoft has make code. So what we're seeing is a lot of existing applications being bested by competing companies, or trying to come up with version 4, version 5, and just continuing on. What I see with the students is, and this is partly the change of public comprehensive school, is we used to offer a typing class and everybody had to learn how to type. And then we used to offer like computer applications. So you learn how to use Excel and Word and all of those suites. And then we one day assumed that the kids just knew how to do, because now they were using Chromebooks and now they were using phones and now they were using, but they don't have those skills. They have the mobile device skills, knowing how to download an app. They know the app store like it's their phone book, right? Our old phone book, their app store. So what I have done in my classroom setting is I have made it where I am very particular about, okay, today's going to be a no Chromebook day. Or one person at your table has the Chromebook out for research and the rest of you are doing the hands-on. And that stems from preparing my students for engineering trades. They need to know how to draw and sketch and do all of that freehand and by hand and use tools, and then learn the applications and the computer programs. Because from today, my 3D printing software could be outdated next week. It's just constantly revolutionizing. The other thing too is that as a teacher, you are going to have to use so many different tools, online tools. Last year, I counted it was 13 programs that our school district had given teachers to be able to, one, to take attendance, one for bathroom passes, one for grades, one for curriculum. So I've always been a techie, but working with other teachers and mentoring new teachers who are not tech literate right out the gate, my recommendation is when you're applying for a school district, do some research and find out what programs they use, what programs they require. And there's ones that are subject specific. And I have found that I may not be the best at all the programs, but if I learn one really, really well, then I can find someone who doesn't know that well, but they know the other program really well. And that has saved me a multitude of times, because you cannot expect to have that support or guidance from administrators because they're often far removed from whenever that technology was rolled out. So it's not that they don't want to help you, they don't have the know-how, because if you're not in it directly, you're not aware. So I would always say research what programs those districts are using or the position. And when you go to interviews, ask. Because I remember my first teaching interview, like for a full-time position, they asked me, okay, so do you have any experience with this program and this program? And I was like, no. And they're like, They weren't planning to teach me any of it. They wanted me to already come in knowing it. Straight out of national, just got my credential. I'm excited, I'm applying for jobs. And they're like, have you used Canvas Speed Grader? Have you used Infinite no, I don't know any of that. So then I was like, okay, next interview I'm going to go on, I'm going to know all the programs that that school uses, that that district uses, and that subject matter uses.
No, that's great advice, and I think is good advice we probably would give to a job seeker in another industry as well, right? Be familiar with the tools and the technologies that you're going to use, and maybe you haven't used Canvas, but you've used something similar, and so to be able to speak to that and to say, I haven't used that exact product, but in my internship, I used this product which has similar functionality, and I guarantee I'll be able to pick that one up, no problem, right? I think that can be really helpful, and having that mentor to give you the insight of, hey, here's what's being used now, and you should probably look into it a little bit. I'm going to shift the convo just a bit because Kristen, you mentioned working in the online world, which I think a lot of educators may still be doing, or a lot of educators did at some point with the pandemic and lots of shifts in education the last couple of years. So I'm going to ask you to comment on this one first, but how do you see mentorship evolving in the education field, or what can mentors do to support their mentees, specifically with the rise of virtual learning and online professional development and all these online communities? How can we better connect with each other in those spaces?
Yeah, LinkedIn has been a huge thing as far as me connecting with other teachers, professionals, even me getting guidance or giving guidance. And so I think opening yourself up to these type of professional networks is really important. And then keeping yourself in the know about the certain tech that's flowing throughout particular job positions in teaching. And then if you're feeling reluctant about teaching online, I would say, please don't feel reluctant, even if you're not certain about how, a certain platform works, like even like, Google Classroom, or like we were speaking of Canvas, or in the old beginning days, pre-pandemic, I was in Blackboard. But just keep your sights open. Don't say no to certain opportunities because you may not be confident, because you can always learn it. And there are always people out there that are willing to help you. Joining the NU mentoring network, you will meet all kinds of people that teach online, including myself, that can help guide you with these type of platforms. And to not feel any kind of hesitation, just keep your mind open, because you've got the skill, you've got the knowledge, be confident. You're already here on Zoom, right? That's one big piece.
Half the battle.
Yeah, exactly. Did you unmute yourself, right? If you did, you're good. So there's these little things, and don't let that get in your way from expanding your network or expanding your job opportunities.
That's great. Thank you. Cabari, anything you'd add on that one in terms of connecting with people in the virtual world?
When COVID happened and I had to teach on Zoom, I knew nothing of Zoom. I had to learn. It was so scary. You guys are so good, Kristen and Jennifer. You're all tech persons. Here I have never when I got my master's in India, it was all handwritten kind of thing. So the first time I learned about technology was when I got enrolled in National University, and I put myself as from 0 to 1. My tech class, they asked to self-evaluate. I put myself as 1 because at that time I could only email with one finger. That's all I knew. So that is from there to come to this time to teach a Zoom class and then share. I think it was a lot of learning, and it caused me a lot of panic attacks. But I managed. 2 years I did that. I managed, and I felt good about it. And now that I can sign in on these webinars, this is the first webinar that I'm attending. So I feel good that I didn't
You
mess
did
it
it.
up,
You're
and
here.
I'm doing that. But for my students, the special ed students, I felt that, the use of technology, it is very important to have a very close collaboration with the therapists.
Mm,
The OT, occupational therapist, who's teaching the kid to how to type the name using using a board. How to type. That kid doesn't even have that fine motor skill, and working with speech therapists to see how the AAC device is going to be worked. So those are the things that I learned a lot to incorporate the technology in the classroom, along with my multimedia thing that I did. But I've learned a lot from my therapist, how to progress. So I think this is what it is. It's at all times, all of you have been talking about is collaboration. Not feeling that I'm superior or anything, that and saying, okay, can I learn from you? I don't know
mm,
how to do it. And the AAC devices are pretty difficult at the beginning if you don't know how to use. So it's like learning from the speech therapist step by step as they're teaching the student, because that's you will be using that with the student throughout the day. That's the way that student communicates. So if you don't know, then you have a student who is going to be attacking you because the student is not able to communicate with you. So this is what it is. It's a collaboration at all times and being willing to learn. And that's
mm-hmm.
what you can tell your mentee, that this is what it is. No one is
Yeah,
superior, inferior. We are all in the beautiful journey of learning.
absolutely. Sure. And I think to that point, showing grace for each other no matter where we are in this process, right? Whether you're a tech master or you're new to it, maybe you specialize in one area, but you know nothing about all these other things. I think the grace for the fact that, if you've entered the education field, you probably value learning, and we are all always learning. Jennifer, I'm going to give you this question. I know you mentioned you've done some, you've held some roles outside of teaching and administration. And so what advice would you give to educators looking to transition into a leadership role, such as maybe like a department head or school administrator? What kinds of things would you advise them to think about or look at?
So when I was a department chair for English, um, the biggest thing for me was being organized and making sure that either knowing the strengths of my team and then knowing how to delegate. A big issue that people have when they move into any kind of leadership role is delegating. And the thing is when you don't delegate, you're communicating to your team, I don't value you, I don't trust you, I don't believe you can do without. Any successful CEO has always set up their company so that if they were to be retire or step down, there would be immediately someone in their place that could fill in their shoes and run the company close to the same way it was done before or better. You're supposed to be training your next group. When I was a high school principal, the biggest thing was that you're responsible now for all of these people and all of the students and all of the stakeholders. It's parents, it's the community, it's other schools that are looking to your performance. And the big thing was there is teaching and administration are two separate jobs. You can be a phenomenal classroom educator and a not so great department chair or a not so great assistant principal or principal. You can be, kind of fly by the seat of your pants educator, but then become this phenomenal administrator. Because both positions are managing people, but your scope becomes way larger. So I always like to, when people would ask me, so you were a principal, did you love it? I said, yeah, I loved it. I just didn't love my blood pressure because all of a sudden, all these demands. Oh, someone pulled the fire drill. Okay, cool. Let's go investigate that. Oh, there's a fight in the quad. Like, you're always constantly putting out fires, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of, that's part of the job, responding to all of that. But a lot of times I have found in my experience that people want to move into administration or leadership roles because I want to be the boss. I want to tell people what to do. I think I know it all. And that is going to set you up to fail, because your job is not to be the smartest person in the room as a leader. Your job is to manage others, and so that they collaborate, so that they come up with great ideas. They're willing to write grants. They're willing to volunteer their time at the school. They're willing to mentor other people by you setting up the conditions for those teachers to shine, not for you to crunch down on those teachers and make them fearful when they hear you coming down the hallway. So a leadership position, it has to be for the right reasons. It cannot be the money. Was I making more money as a principal? Yeah, on paper, but it was 60 to 80-hour work weeks. It was time away from my family. It was being on call 24/7. So on paper, yes, I made more money, but I'm back in the classroom, I'm making more money compared to my time that is spent. And the time that I now gain back with my family is more valuable, than any kind of money or benefits I could have received. The other thing with leadership is, imagine your worst boss ever that you've ever had in your entire life. You want to remember what that experience was and aim to not be that person. You want people to enjoy coming to work every day, that you want them to know that they can come to you for support, that you're going to guide them, and that you don't forget what it's like to be a teacher. Because when I left the classroom and became an instructional coach, woo, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be that person. I'm not going to forget. You forget very fast. I can go to the bathroom when I want. What? So then when you get out of the classroom, you go into that position, you have to still be able to relate to the teachers. And then if you return like I did, it's an adjustment as well. Oh, wait, everything's not my responsibility anymore. So just knowing your personality type is also going to be a big one. Not everyone is cut out to be a leader, and that's okay. We need collaborators, we need leaders, we need doers. There's a role for everyone in a school.
Yes. Yes, I love that. There's a role for everyone in a fill in the blank, any kind of workplace, right? And
Yes.
sometimes we are drawn to a certain role for a certain reason, but those are all really good things to think about in seeking out leadership roles. I'm going to ask a question from the chat. So thank you, Lena, for putting this one in there. She asks, I'm assuming Lena asks, what are some good questions to help a mentor to find out if it is a good match, if it is going to be a right match for you in terms of what you're looking for? Kristen, I'll let you take that one first.
Sure. A couple things come to mind, Lena, which is what inspires you? How is your communication style? What type of time do you have to dedicate to helping me? What is your field of practice? What are your goals in your career? Right? So making sure that you understand what kind of mentor you're getting is getting to know that mentor. And that'll make sure that you can have a more successful connection with the person that you need help from.
That's a good tip. Absolutely. Jennifer, what would you add on that one?
Why do you want to be my mentor? It's kind of like interviewing the interviewer. Why do you want to be my mentor? What are you going to gain from it? Are you going to teach me and just expect me to absorb everything and follow you from point A to point B? Or is this going to be, I'm a professional, you're a professional, I want to bounce ideas off you back and forth? Another thing too, I would ask a mentor, what is the greatest thing you love about your job and what are the pain points? You need someone who's going to be honest. If you are going to say teaching is amazing and you're going to have wonderful days, it's all going to go rosy, it's not going to work. you have to have a mentor who is straightforward and realistic and is going to share with you their experiences, both negative and positive, so that you're going in with an open mind. With the pandemic and with the change of education, the students we have today are not the same that they were 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And, as teachers, we like to say, oh man, this group of kids is bad. The ones before, they were fine. No, every group is different. Every class period is different. So with a mentor, don't be afraid to ask them. On the platform, when people reach out to me for mentoring through National, they say, hi, this is my experience. This is what I'm looking for. Do you think we would be a good match? And I let them know, you know what, I don't have higher education experience, so go see a professor. Probably find someone who has been in that or transitioned to that. I'm not the best person for you because my experience is going to be K through 12.
That's great. No, that's a good point. Not every mentor that you approach will be the right mentor for you. Not every mentee that approaches you as a potential mentor is going to be a good fit. And you have to be able to parse that out and to walk away from the professional relationship in a professional way. Cabari, anything that you would add on that in terms of how to make sure that it's a good match with a potential mentor?
For me, I was the senior teacher at my school's thing, and these were all young kids who were close to my children's age. So I was very protective about them, and I said, let's go for coffee. Let's not sit down here in the school, and after let's go. So I would take them out of the school thing, and then we would start talking. How do they feel? Make them feel comfortable with me if I'm going to be their mentor. That I am as a person, what am I? Why am I teaching? What is it that drives me? Why am I passionate about that? So it was not that classroom environment where you're kind of, oh my gosh. So I would always like to take them out for coffee or to after work to McDonald's or something. Let's go and have so this was me, because it was the mom in me trying to take that thing, and I always used to say, you guys are close to my children's age, either a little bit older or the same age as my children. So they used to call me Mama Berry in my So I used to make sure that they had their, if they didn't have, lunchtime, did they bring some food? Otherwise, I would give them my something from my lunch that I brought. So this is what I felt at all times, and I have done a lot of leadership at PACE, outreach, parent outreach and all that. And then, doing the graduation ceremony, spearheading that and all that. So I've done all of those things, but it was all with collaboration, like you guys are saying, that it is each of us have our uniqueness, and we bring it together, it becomes a beautiful thing, so that no one feels inferior or thing. And also, like I have used my IAs to teach some classes, so that that they wouldn't feel, sometimes they would like to chit chat. I said, okay, let's let you do this now, and let's see how it happens now. And so they learned how to behave in class and not have across the room conversation when the students are there, because they were also teaching that, so they understood how it feels to be standing in front and delivering. So it is not like putting them down, but taking their if they had something good at some PowerPoint or something like that, they would put it in, and we would use that together. So that is the most important thing in teaching, is collaboration, and not and feeling that everyone has, you're coming into this field, it is because you're very special, because you're changing lives. That's what I always used to say. You're changing lives. You're making it for these kids that no one would like to talk to. You're giving them the best thing. So the school day had to be a successful day, however hard it is. You should have a lesson plan 1, 2, 3, that back to back, and see how that day is successful for the student and the staff and for yourself, that you don't go back home crying, what did I do wrong? So that's what it is. So
that's definitely not what we want.
So that is what it is. And I loved teaching, and I had to retire because of health reasons, and I would love to go back, but now I would love to mentor.
That's wonderful. No, and in terms of finding a good mentor fit, you mentioned feeding your mentees, and that would work well for me. That would go over very well. If you fed me, I think it'd be a very good match. I'm going to take one more question here. Sunday mentioned they're currently pursuing a PhD in educational leadership, does not necessarily have experience teaching in K-12 settings, but looking to teach in higher ed. What kind of mentor would you recommend, and what suggestions do you have for me? Kristen, I'm going to put you on the spot since you have some experience in higher ed.
Find me Sunday. Find me. I'm on the I'm
I
on
love
the
that. Good
NU
answer.
mentoring network. Find me. My background is in higher education. I currently teach college, been teaching college for a while, so I would be more than happy to help you and steer you in the right direction, give you ideas, tips, lesson plans, anything you need. Always happy to help.
I
And
love
I'm
that.
sure there's plenty of other people too. If we're not the right match, there's plenty of other people that you could find. There's also a lot of people in my LinkedIn network, if you want to connect their educators, people that are in higher ed that I could pair you with too as well. Yeah.
That is a great suggestion and a good point to touch on, that sometimes you approach someone for a mentoring relationship, maybe have a conversation and it doesn't turn into anything more, but they are able to connect you to someone else that can
Yeah.
give you more information. And that's a really powerful person in your network too, is that connector piece. So definitely reach out to those that you know. Don't be afraid to just ask, right? I'm looking to make a move into teaching, and I think you have a lot to teach me. Would you be willing to sit down for a conversation? It doesn't have to be a long-term mentoring, meet every week for 6 months kind of thing, but even just those one-off conversations can be really informative. One final question I'm going to ask all three of you, but you only get to give one answer. What is one piece of advice that you received from a mentor that you now pass on to others? So something that a mentor taught you that you have also then passed on, but you have to pick one. Anybody ready?
I'm ready.
They're like, no, I have
I'm ready.
10. Go ahead, Kristen.
Can I share a very personal note
Oh, sure.
about my mentor? So when I taught eighth grade, the mentor would come. She was a BITSA coach and would sit and she was correcting her papers. And when I used to say, "Oh my God, it was so hard," and the only thing she told me, "Oh, you learn through fire." So that was my mentor, and I didn't understand what that meant at that point, but I didn't get any thing. The next one, when I had another mentor when I was teaching sixth through eighth grade, first time that I taught special ed. And the mentor, when I used to ask questions, said, "You ask too many questions. You're very needy." So my personal feeling of being mentored was not very positive. So carrying that with me, I wanted to make sure that when I mentored, that my mentees did not feel like this, because I felt very lonely, and I had to learn everything on my own. And
Sometimes
and
the
also
cautionary
because
tale can be what you learn. Sure.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
it was with my collaboration with other teachers and my therapists and all that. That's how I learned, and I thank that I had that collaborative spirit that taught me. And I wanted my mentees not to feel alone and like stupid that they're asking questions. I said, you can ask any number of questions. There's nothing, and if I can help, I will help you. If I can't help, I'll try to get someone who can help you with that. That is
That's
my one
wonderful.
thing that I had to tell about what how I got mentored and my personal relationship.
That's good. That's good. Kristen, what's your one piece of advice that you got from a mentor and that you share with others?
So I am a community college student. Okay, that's where I began my world. That was my in-person college experience, and I had the most excellent professor named Professor Joanne Waddell, and I'll never forget her. And it may sound like simple advice, but it resonated so much with me and still does. And it's the hardest part of your day is putting your feet on the floor and starting. And so please, like, if there's anything I could transcend to you today, if you're feeling discouraged or burned out or tired or uncertain of the career path, just put those feet on the floor, follow through with what you're doing, and let it take you, ride the wave, ride the wave.
That's great advice. Absolutely. Just start. Just start. Jennifer?
A mentor I had before I went into a leadership role in school administration. It was she went on kind of like her soapbox and she was all into it. I remember we're in her office and I'm like, okay, I'm just here. She said, I don't need to be good at everything. Why? There's no reason for me to be good at everything. That's impossible. I'm going to find what I'm good at. I'm going to find probably the next skill I'm close to good at, and then maybe one more. And those three are going to be my focus. And that is what is going to get me to the opportunities in life that I want, that I never knew were possible, that are going to take me on in my career. And that served me well. I went on to get 5 endorsements. And then I'm working on my second master's. So having that flexibility and just knowing, okay, I'm bilingual, so I'm going to put my eggs in the basket of second language learning and really hone in on that and become an expert in that. And then once I did that, okay, now I'm going to move on to my second one, tech. I'm all about technology and art. So now I'm really going to pour into that until it's time to move to something else. So really find your strengths, hone in on them, and give yourself some grace. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to be the expert in every domain. You're going to have students and coworkers that are going to make a skill or activity or subject look super easy. And then you're just going to be amazed, but you don't beat yourself up. Give yourself the credit, give yourself the pat on the back. In education, we're all about the kids, and we often forget to give ourselves credit and give our colleagues credit.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I
That
just
is
wanted to add one more thing, Heather. Though I do not have a positive experience with mentors, but I will say there was one professor at National University who told me one thing which I've carried on even throughout my teaching career and even now as a retired special ed teacher, that your students, you have to be their advocate. You have to advocate for them because they don't have people fighting for them. And that has stuck with me. And throughout my life, that has been like my clarion call, at all times, how can I, better serve their needs and how can they be best, get the best opportunity in the school and have the best experience in school. That's what I wanted to just thank you, National University.
Thank you. And thank you, all 3 of you, for participating today on our panel. We appreciate you being here and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us, and really giving us a peek inside the mentor-mentee relationship. We're so glad that you were here. We are going to toss it back to Jasmine at this point for some closing remarks.
Yeah, so again, thank you again to our amazing panelists. There was such a wealth of knowledge shared tonight, and taking those tips and words of wisdom into account, you can start putting those into practice on our NU Mentoring Network. So again, we wanted to encourage folks, if they're not already involved in the platform, to please join. I know some of our panelists are on there too, so you can reach out to them directly on there. And I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat again for folks. But yeah, just another quick plug. And also, again, there's lots of great resources for you on there in terms of career advancement and mentoring. And keeping the conversation going, we do have some upcoming events. And so tomorrow we'll actually be doing a vision boarding event. One of our student clubs will be putting that on. And so if you're looking for sort of direction and you just want to make some plans for this upcoming year, it's not too late. January is not over yet. And even if it was, you don't have to start over January 1st. But yeah, so we'll be doing some vision boarding tomorrow evening. And then next week there'll be Navigator networking. For alumni and students are welcome to come as well. We'll have our speaker series, and I believe the speaker with that is it the CIO of Trader Joe's? So that will be an exciting one to tune into.
Yeah, we're excited. Sorry, Jasmine, it took me a minute to find my mute button. We're excited. Our speaker is an alum. He is the CIO of Trader Joe's, and then our moderator is an alum as well. And I think it may be the first time we've had both. So we're really excited to see that. That'll be next week.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, and then next week as well, we'll be doing another installment in our mentoring series here. That one will be geared towards healthcare folks and nurturing sort of, being a hero within healthcare. And looking fast forward into February, we will be having a Black History Month celebration, and that will be open to all NU community members, so students, staff, faculty, community, and the like. And right after that celebration, you'll want to jump into the next speaker series as well. So just lots of exciting things coming up in the next couple of weeks. And again, a big thank you for coming out tonight. We appreciate you being here, and we will be sending out the recording. And feel free to contact us, alumni, and also on the student side. And yeah, we're here for any of your mentoring and mentoring network questions. Thanks all.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.